the teeny description of what is energy healing. We direct our attention intelligently in order to produce specific effects in the entire range of manifested self. Attention is being. Attention is that spark of divinity within us over which we have intentional control. Because we can put our attention on anything. You can choose what you put your attention on. But when your attention flows through the mind, through the senses, through whatever channels you're focusing it, through the heart, when your attention flows, it is the flow of divine being. It is the flow of divinity. All right. So what it does is it falls upon the subject of the attention, and it enlivens or activates divinity in that. Therefore, when something's hurting, the pain itself is like a signal to the awareness to bring that attention in, because the attention has the qualities of wholeness, completion, resolution, totality, which naturally wash away the imbalance that's in that area. So attention is, we could say, that's the first responder of the healing mechanism in the physiology. So energy healing is about starting there with that first responder. And today we're going to get to the second responder. But the first responder is getting the attention into the problem. And there's one more thing that can be said about that, and that is that it's good to go into the core of the problem, or the seed of the problem. Because when we have a symptom, the symptom's on the surface. And so that's usually not the actual cause. The symptom is the byproduct. So we want to get to the cause of the problem. And that involves a little bit of unpacking. You start with the symptom because the symptom contains a lot of information in it about its own seed, its own foundation. So we'll start with the symptom, and then you use your attention going to the symptom, following then learning how to unpack, which we'll talk a little bit about today, down to the seed of the imbalance. And then from the seed, we apply the algorithm. Okay. So that's the recap of what is energy healing. The algorithm is a set of steps. And the book form of the algorithm is pretty simple. You start with the symptom, you follow it back to its core, then that system, there's like a system, because you've got all the way from the symptom down to its core, is offered into the field of being, is released. The mind, the awareness, releases the experience of it and experiences its own source of creation. And this source of creation takes that symptom and takes the seed of the symptom and reformats the entire situation in order to recreate wholeness, to recreate totality, to complete the completion, to provide the lesson that's being asked for through the experience of discomfort. And that is presented to the conscious mind. It's presented back into the body, back into the conscious mind, back into what we think of as our self. And then the self, this is the next step of the algorithm. So we've got 4 steps so far. We've got feel the symptom, find its seed, offer it to silence, and then from the silence, the answer returns, an answer, the antidote, or sometimes more information about really what's going on with that symptom. Because maybe you unpacked it the best you could, but there was a little more to unpack. So sometimes more answer comes back. Okay, then what is returned from being is offered back into being again. That's another step. So then it's kind of like rinse and repeat, right? You do the thing and then you just keep offering it back again. Well, the next time it offers back to being, either the question is more clear or the symptom and problem has been enhanced by the presence of the antidote, in which case that's offered back to being. And then being returns with a more completed form, and then that's offered back to being, and then being returns that with a more completed form, and that's offered back, and then it's offered back again and again and again. And what happens is each time one receives the enhanced understanding of the nature of the discord with its completion, with its antidote, then and offered it back, every time one goes through that loop, it's like a loop, the neural connections necessary to support making the loop oil up. You get faster. It's like doing anything. If I tap my finger on the table, I get better at it. The more I do it, the better I get. So the idea is that the algorithm is something, first time we do it, it tends to go a little slower, and then the second time a little faster, and then the next time a little faster, like that. And taking it to its completion, what happens is it goes faster and 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 faster until it goes like infinitely fast. And when it goes to infinitely fast, the antidote is flushing through the system. At that point, you are structuring health. You are structuring your perfect condition. There's also a letting go that takes place every time the experience is offered back into silence. And so not only is the antidote structured, when it loops out to infinity, the antidote is structured in a stable way in the physiology, but also the act of surrender is stabilized in the being. And that's really beautiful, because I have a child who doesn't like the word surrender. Too many lifetimes as a warrior, I think. Warriors don't surrender. But but it's not really surrender in those terms. It's not like, war times, right? It's a different kind of process. What it is it's a process of letting go of a sense of separation with infinity and allowing one's nature to unify with the whole creation, with the whole universe. And I know we've talked about this from other angles and other webinars, that basically this little physiology, this little system that we are, is the antenna of the universe. And you really are the whole universe. But the thing is that we don't always experience ourselves that way. We experience ourselves as separate. I'm here and the beach is over there. So that means I'm not the beach because I have furry hair and the beach doesn't. Let's hope it doesn't. Oh, look, it has some furry hair. No, but the thing is that we are the sensitive instruments of the universe, like the eye. The eye can't say, well, I'm not the body. I mean, the eye isn't the whole body, but the eye is definitely part of the body, and it's intimately connected to the body, and the body can't live without it. So, this is the eye. If it follows itself back, it goes, oh, well, I'm actually part of the brain, and I'm actually part of the brain that's connected to the whole rest of the physiology. And actually, from my eye has the ability to play its part in such a way that its home is completely enhanced. So it's not that the eye is separate from the body. The eye owns the body. The body owns the eye. The waves, the ocean owns the waves, and the waves own the ocean. It's all part of the same system. Okay. So that's a recap of the algorithm. I had two things I wanted to offer you. One is that I noticed from last night's webinar, that some people in the group can use some support from their own collective and celestial levels of the physiology to enhance and help the algorithm work more effectively. So I thought we would do that first. So I'm going to speak to you everything that is happening as it's happening, so you can watch me go through the algorithm here. So what I'm doing is, with the intention to support this process for everyone, I offer that intention back to the state of my own silent being. And when I offer back to the state of my own silent being, I find myself in the presence of the celestial and collective levels of self. And we share. It's the same body. My collective body, your collective body. My celestial body, your celestial body, everyone is this, it shares. And all I'm doing is in that, my awareness stable in that. I'm just asking that part of the being, how would you like to best support everybody in this session with their own ability to engage the healing algorithm so that for maximum success? And always the answer comes back in the universal language of perception and experience. So I have to decode that for everybody. And what I'm feeling is the most beautiful integration between the celestial and collective levels of the physiology. But the two finest levels, collective level, collective level of being and celestial level of being. I'm just using those names because I arbitrarily brought those as I was experiencing them, not having been a student of Vedic science to such a degree. So I didn't have the Vedic names. But that's where integration is taking place. And I'm feeling really, really luscious experience of that integration, which seems to be directly affecting the central nervous system. So that's good. We want that central nervous system to feel, it's like an upgrade for the central nervous system. What I'm seeing is there's some very, very, very fine channels of flow of consciousness in the central nervous system. And these look to me to be like microscopically small. They look like they're down at the cellular level, at least, maybe subcellular, some subcellular levels of the central nervous system. And they are just waking up with the most tremendous flush of luscious knowledge, energy, knowingness is flushing through the nervous system at a very fine microscopic level. Absolutely delightful, very integrative. This is the integration of the celestial and collective level of the physiology as it manifests at a physical level of the physiology. And you'll notice, if we do a quick scan of the body, if anybody's sitting with eyes closed and wants to do a quick energy body scan, you'll notice that the central nervous system and this big, deep inner core of the body is the area where consciousness is most concentrated. It's like you could think of it as the seat of God in the body. This awakens the ability, your capabilities, our capabilities, to draw upon knowledge potential that's in the consciousness for use with the algorithm. And the reason is that I noticed that some people, and I really hope some people who were with me last night who aren't with me today get a chance to watch this video, because I think it will be really helpful. That some people have habits, old, like kind of lifetime habits of feeling like kind of small and not necessarily able to do stuff with consciousness, or not necessarily feeling really adept at using their consciousness in specific ways to produce specific effects. And so that is an illusion. That's like an old belief system. And for many people, it goes back many generations. And so, in fact, there are generations of people who couldn't even have that thought because they were so like not connected into what is consciousness. So that goes back many generations. And this brings me to the point about purification, which was the second thing I wanted to talk about before going into the algorithm. And that is that this is a process of purification. And I'm saying it, speaking it to the ancestors as we're going along here, because they're receiving their cycles of purification right now as part of this healing that's taking place. That when this knowingness penetrates the central nervous system, always knowledge has purifying power, right? That's a quote from Maharishi. Knowledge has purifying power. It flushes out ignorance. So the ancestors experiencing the release of the belief that they are small or incapable or they don't have the resources. Your being, the source of what you are, has infinite resource. You have access to infinite resources. Always, always, always you have access to infinite resources. Sometimes it looks like you don't. And that can be used as, let's take our first loop through the algorithm, and we will, as a group, as a collective, and we will address the issue of resources. So the feeling of any area that you feel you don't have enough resources, your bank account, your love life, your energy in the body, the health in the body, any area that feels like not enough resources, not enough, lack, feeling lack. What we're going to do is feel it. And what I want you to do is see how you tend to identify. This is how we're going to unpack it. This is a very quick, easy, by the way, shortcut for unpacking something that's concrete but has an abstract seed. And that is, how does it make me feel about myself? This is the shortcut to unpacking. How do I define myself in terms of that thing? I'm poor, or I'm, I feel vulnerable. How do we define ourselves in terms of this imbalance? That is the seed. That's basically essentially going to be the seed of the feeling of lack that's on the surface. Another shortcut for the unpacking is almost every seed of imbalance can be traced back to a feeling of separation from infinite being. That's why we did that other healing with the celestial and causal levels of the physiology, to integrate so we're not separate from infinite beings. We took that one out. Do you see the logic? We took that one out first. Then we can just work with the denser parts that are easier to see. So we take that lack and we just feel it, and then allow the awareness to settle down into the silent source of self. For those who aren't sure what that is, that lovely floaty space that you feel between waking and sleeping. That right there. And it can take a moment, it could take a minute. Luckily, that lovely floaty space is so luscious. There's that feeling when we're in it, oh, I could just sit here forever. It's so luscious, it's so full. And what infinite being does is it takes that feeling of lack and it completes it. It fills it. It adds the missing part. Thank you. I'm actually seeing an activation at the collective level of the physiology that's supporting that fullness, that experience of fullness or totality, wholeness. So what we have is that feeling of fullness is the antidote. And when we offer that fullness, and when I say offer, what I mean is like not being attached to it at all, but just allowing awareness to release the point of attention, our attention. It says, okay, I'm experiencing this beautiful fullness. Now I'm just going to experience silence. So we feel the fullness, then we feel the silence. And when we do that, what happens is that fullness that we're feeling just before we switch attention into the silence of being, that fullness gets a chance to come with us into the field of being. And what happens is you'll notice that the feeling of fullness, which may have started out as kind of an abstract feeling, comes back thicker It comes back fuller. It comes back more luscious, more complete. So this is now the antidote to lack coming back in a more enhanced form. So it's like a more powerful medicine, you could say, self-made medicine. So we offer that back into this field of silence. And what happens is within moments, awareness bounces into silence and then it bounces back out into the field of conscious awareness. It comes back with an even richer, even thicker, even more profound and intense value of fullness. So offer it again. So there's no attachment there, right? It's just letting it go. Basically, you're letting it go and experiencing your own essential nature. And it comes back again as fullness again, and we let it go again. And it comes back again as fullness again. And I'm personally starting to experiencing it as it's coming back as waves of bliss. And when my being starts to feel the bliss, the body at a very fine level is deeply grateful for the experience of bliss. We don't always get to feel it, right? So when it comes, it's like, oh, so wonderful, so wonderful. So offering gratitude with that feeling of the antidote. And the thing about the gratitude is that it's like an oil. It goes in and it really lubricates up the pathways that the awareness is following in order to create this effect. So that starts to make it move faster. Clearing fear for some people. Some people are like, oh, the roller coaster. Oh, noes. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's bliss. It's bliss. So it's all right to create your own bliss. You can't really make a mistake with energy healing, by the way. Just a note there. Let's just, for those who feel comfortable letting that roll out to infinity, we're going to do that. And then I will talk about why you can't make a mistake. As the experience of the loops of consciousness roll to infinity, what happens is the mother of the creation, the whole multiverse is affected by this medicine that you're making in your physiology that we are collectively making. So this is powerful. There's a lot of people on this healing session, okay? So we're like pushing 100 people here. So this is almost 100. So it's really good. This speaks the language, that rolling, that wave of awareness flowing, flushing, washing through the body as bliss, speaks the language of perception and experience to the mother of creation, to the source of creation, to the source of everything that is. And it fills the creation with bliss. It fills your universe with bliss. It fills the hearts of your ancestors with bliss. It fills the points in the universe where fullness flows, where resource flows with bliss. And it activates them because those points in creation already were sensitive to this particular energy frequency. So they start to activate extra when we roll these waves of fullness, of satisfaction, of completion, of resolution out to their infinite capacity. Then those points in creation which are responsible for the manifestation of wealth, of love, of health, of goodness, they start to wake up and go, oh, wow, I just got a little shot of something there. And the gratitude returns from every corner of creation. And it floods into the physiology. And it's so enriching and it's so beautiful. It's so fulfilling that the only thing we can do is offer it back to the source of creation again. And just say, thank you, Ma, for this beautiful self-communication, for this beautiful opportunity to be in this place of intense flow of goodness, intense flow of fullness. Okay, so that was a full cycle. Oh, that was a nice one. Thank you, everyone. It says, at the step where we are asking for seed information, how important is it to cognitively know this in words, especially since it moves faster and faster? Oh, good question. Sometimes I get stuck there, not knowing in words. So unpacking the question is very helpful. Good. All right. So do not expect to necessarily experience the seed or the foundation behind the symptom as a concrete sensation or experience that you could necessarily put English words to. You know, God bless the English language and God bless our ability to speak. It's such a tremendous gift, isn't it? And a power. But the universal language of perception and experience isn't in a spoken language. It is in a feeling language. So just as the antidotes come back into the physiology more as feelings, then so the sense of what it is in me that's really behind the symptom also will be experienced as a kind of feeling, as a sensation, as sometimes complex feelings. And on this note, also the part that comes back. Now, I want to be super orderly. I'm going to stay with the seed for a minute, and I would like to talk about purification, and then we will talk about how the antidotes come back, because that also comes back as a feeling. Purification. This is a wave of purification. So what we're doing is we are boldly and courageously facing that aspect of our own nature and our own being, which is giving us trouble. This algorithm offers an effective way of dealing with problems, which has not necessarily been the traditional way of dealing with it. The traditional way has been, one traditional way is, oh, there's a problem. If there's any way I can simply avoid looking at it, that would be great. Alcohol? Anyone? So that's been, I mean, we're talking generations, multiple generations, and we're talking to ancestors here, because we have to shift this over on all levels of the physiology and get some of that stability that came in earlier at a neural level of the physiology down into the subcellular and molecular atomic levels of the physiology. So that means we have to talk to the ancestors, because they're the ones, they stand at the door, they stand at the gate to this molecular atomic level of your reality. Your DNA is their home. Clearing the illusion that we don't have access to that, or that doesn't change, because it does. We know intellectually, of course, that DNA changes. It replicates itself, it repairs itself, it transforms itself. Clearing the illusion at an atomic and molecular level of the physiology in the ancestral archive that it's better for everything to stay the same. No. The nature of creation is that we live in an ever-expanding universe and nothing ever stays the same. So may as well embrace that. So staying the same is not a solution. Staying the same is not a solution. That's the antidote coming back, by the way, folks. The antidote is staying the same. It's not a solution. Now, underneath that, this is me unpacking, underneath that belief that staying the same is a solution is fear. Fear of change, fear of the unknown, fear of not having the resources to meet something that's new. This is where we bring in that integration. This medicine that was created at the beginning of this session is extremely important now. It's coming up as an important player in this point of the process. This medicine, this energy frequency of deep, deep integration at the causal and the celestial and collective levels of the physiology, gives complete free access to the resources of being. Being, which is the source of creation, is infinitely resourceful. Infinitely resourceful. That belief of I might not have the resources to meet the unknown. You are the unknown. You are the resources which meet you. You are this divine dialogue. Which brings me once again, second time now in the last few minutes, to a really beautiful experience from last night that I wanted to share and also bring up a point. So we're just going to let the ancestors sit with that for a few minutes, let them enjoy that process. As I described, this beautiful woman had an experience during the use of the algorithm that she understood that her pain, that her suffering was actually part of the divine dialogue. This is true. This is true. Divinity is experiencing itself through all of us and through every experience, every human experience, every conceivable human experience is part of the divine dialogue. The discord is revealing the part that needs to be addressed. And she said she realized this. It caused her to not recoil from the discord that she was feeling in her physiology, but to feel brave and bold about addressing it and about using it, harnessing it as the leveraging it to open up her own conscious capacity to experience unity with the wholeness of creation to a greater degree. That was the antidote. I'm bringing it up because that's a kind of complicated antidote, right? I mean, for her, the antidote came as a realization, and that can happen. The antidote can come in all sorts of different forms. It can come usually the first time, my experience, and I've been doing this for years, my experience is usually first time around, it's more of a feeling. And then I have the pleasure and joy each time I offer it of unpacking that antidote, unpacking that feeling a little bit more, and it becomes more concrete, it becomes easier to define, and that process is a delight. And each time I unpack it a little bit, each time it becomes more concrete, we could say, or at least understood. Each time it becomes more deeply understood. It is more nourishing to the being. It's more nourishing to the physiology. It becomes more smoother, more oiled up. It starts to flow more easily through the body. It starts to flow to the precise locations in the physiology that require that energy. Okay. So here's another question. Thank you for this question. I'm not so much of a feeler kind of a person, right? He says, I'm not really a feeler. So the way I'm doing it is more shamanic. Oh, cool. Allowing pictures to come up. Beautiful. Like an iceberg or a bowl of cherries or a babbling brook. And then I offer that back to my silence. Am I just making it up? And is there a healing we can do to cause the felt sense to be clearer? So first I want to say, probably other people are experiencing this too, yeah? Probably, I would expect. There are other people having the same experience, especially if there are other people who've done any shamanic work. Yeah, see? 2 more people have just raised their hand. So absolutely. My hat is off to all of you, because what this means is that your Anya chakra is lively, it's well developed. And for those of you who are sun gazing, and some of you might be sun gazers too, that causes this chakra to grow. This chakra tends to communicate through picture images or other kinds of sensory, sometimes clairaudient, sometimes clairvision, sometimes clairvoyant, sometimes clairaudient. and sometimes from more synesthetic levels of self. But absolutely, when those pictures come, that's a form of the antidote. Absolutely. The thing is, it may seem like you mentioned a bowl of cherries, for instance. One may think, well, what does the discomfort that I'm having have to do with a bowl of cherries? Like, okay, I got the bowl of cherries here, but hey, now what? But the thing is, that's why we offer it again, because each time it cycles around, it tends to become more, it tends to improve the definition. It becomes richer. It also becomes more refined, more concise. So it's absolutely beautiful to offer the vision, but it's also useful to ask yourself, how does it make me feel? And what I found with visuals, and also smells, of course, is that they often remind me of something of the past. A lot of times the visuals will come up because a visual will contain really a lot of it. Picture tells 1,000 words, right? So it'll contain really a lot of information. And it's like a code, it's like a puzzle piece that it will, all the information that's encoded in that visual will provide pathways to a deeper unpacking. And for myself, I notice that the visuals will tend to come up when there's something that I need to address from the past. And that's because a lot of the really concrete sensory experiences that come back for me often are related to past experiences. And that can mean that the energy medicine needs to go somewhere more specific. We need to direct it to a specific area of the self. And that can be part of the healing process, is more detailed information about the imbalance. So we may have a symptom, and that symptom in its innocent experience is offered to the source of being. But when the vision comes back, like say the bowl of cherries, for example, is something that was sitting on a table when you were a teenager. And what it makes you say, well, how does it make me feel, or how does it make me define myself? Then we remember, oh yeah, I remember that time I was a teenager and the mint was in bloom and it was creating a minty smell in the house at the same time. And then it's like the sensation, the sensory sensation kind of opens up and you realize, oh, that's the part of me that actually is where the seed is. This thing goes back to when I was a teenager and I was really confused about what was going on. Or maybe I was, I had some inappropriate food I ate, or there's some toxin. There's actually a physical toxin somewhere in the system that needs to be addressed, or something that has its seed back there in that adolescence. So then we add in that element of, oh yeah, me when I was an adolescent gets added into the offering. And that really, really helps the energy medicine, or the healing energy, get into where it needs, very specifically where it needs to go, in order to promote maximum healing effect. So we heal ourselves in the present, we heal ourselves in the past, and when we let those loops loop out to infinity, we're really healing the whole universe. It's very powerful. So let's do another loop on that note. We'll do another loop. I'm going to close a few of these extra windows. So we're back in simple state. Okay. Feel the aspect of the self. This time, I'd like everyone to feel something personal, some particular personal area that they'd like to work on. And closing the eyes can be helpful because it allows awareness to settle down. And it's a little easier to find one's essential nature from that state of eyes closed. When we offer that discord or that discomfort back into the field of infinity, back to the essential self. and then innocently accept whatever you experience coming back. If the offering was originally on a more dense level, you may find a feeling is returned. We offer that feeling back into the field of silence, letting go and just gently drifting into the field of silence. And what you'll notice is if the feeling originally returned as a feeling of grief or sadness or loss or some weakness, when it comes back this time, it's more complete. There's more strength in you. There's more of a sense of purpose and self. Now that strength is offered to the field of silence. At this point, the offering starts to have a nourishing effect on the field of infinity. And because it has a nourishing effect on the field of infinity, your finest intelligence, these deep celestial and collective levels of self, deeply desire to go through the loop again. So now you have support from infinite intelligence of your own being to administrate the flow of these loops of consciousness so that they're moving with maximum effectiveness, so that they're supporting the physiology, psychology, the health, life experience in the very, very best way. And as it moves through, I often feel it moving from the upper portion of my physiology down through my body, like a washing or a raining of light of being. And let the light of being just rain through the body. Every time it rains through, we don't hold it, we don't have attachments, we just let it go, just letting it go back to the field of silence. And every time we do, another wave on the ocean comes up, another wave comes from the infinite ocean of consciousness, the infinite ocean of being, washes through the body again. It doesn't have to be well defined. What you'll notice is that it feels good. It feels good. The washing feels good. So let it wash. You may notice that it starts to wash faster and faster. It's cleansing out the imbalance in the physiology. It's completing it. It's not eliminating it. It's elevating it to the status of infinity. Again, I'm seeing more integration in people's nervous systems. I'm seeing many ancestors online, just in deepest gratitude, offering their gratitude, offering their gratitude. I'm seeing these waves as they're rolling through everyone's physiologies, starting to have an effect on the earth energies in your location, in your homes, in the land around your homes, in the rocks, in the soil, in the air. It's cleansing the air, and it's cleansing the soil, and it's cleansing the waters. And the earth is receiving benefit from the healing that you're performing, this washing, the rain. The rain is washing through your body, and it's washing Mother Earth at the same time. So beautiful. And the gratitude is returning from every portion of creation. And as the gratitude starts to flush through the system, it has this effect of thrilling the entire field of expression. And it integrates, it lubricates, it connects us to our own infinite being. It causes that, it's a completion of the divine dialogue. This is divinity speaking with itself. Divinity is speaking with itself. The imbalance is a rare and precious opportunity to make offerings back into the field of one's own infinitely silent source of creation, the mother of the universe, God of creation. All right, the divine dialogue. There's thank you, everyone.